Welcome to Toffee TV. It's the final words. Everton 4, Hull City 0, joined by Sean, who's come on the show today. Yeah, well, a nice little victory. Keep us happy for the couple of weeks. That was my biggest fear going into the game. Obviously, West Brom had just beaten Arsenal before the game, and you think, oh, big chance here, big chance that we normally flop. And that they were like my worries just going into that game, that we were gonna bollocks it up basically.
Everton.
Yeah.
Just got to get over this, mate. This.
I know.
Yeah, people said I wasn't happy on the instant Matt's reaction. I was happy.
That was Baz's happiest.
I wasn't. But one thing I'm not going to do is listen. You got to say that you two are never happy. I'm like, well, not going to sit there and go, it was total football when it wasn't. It was boss that we won.
Did you see Koeman's interview afterwards?
No.
Was he happy? He wasn't happy.
No.
He wasn't happy.
Oh, I remember he said the result the game and the result were two very different things.
Yeah.
He said we were terrible. He actually said we were terrible second half. Sorry for being pedantic, but this is how you get better as a football club, and that's what the manager does.
So standards, haven't you? But back to the game. Yeah, great result. Another great result.
Yeah, no, I was worried because the Middlesbrough game, like that was a game where we could have made some ground on the top six, and we just didn't even. It seemed like we didn't even try. It felt. I mean, I'm assuming they did, but it felt like they just weren't putting that extra. But this game, it was different. I think the early goal, I want to say helped, but then there was. I thought when I saw that first goal in, I was going to go, this is going to be one of those games where we just run riot, and then it wasn't quite like that. Even if the score makes you think so.
But I think we're a lot more we're a more patient side now, aren't we? And we understand that we can do things quite late on in games.
Patient with end product though, because Martinez was patient.
No, that wasn't patience. That wasn't patience. That was.
Don't mention his name.
That was. That wasn't patience. I mean, obviously the team. He went with Calvert-Lewin on the left because of No Morales. Because they had a baby, so congratulations to them. He brought Guy back into midfield for Barry, which is what we said would happen on the starting 11. It was just interesting, the shape, because I thought Hull set up really interestingly, and they played three centre backs, didn't they? Essentially with wing backs, and I thought that stopped us playing a lot of football the way we like to play it.
I would say, I'm not, because in the first 20 minutes Baines had a lot of space because what's his name, Markovic, he wasn't tracking back, and I noticed after 20 minutes Markovic got switched to the other side, and after that they had a lot less space. But I think the three at the back in general did them okay, but there was obviously our goal came through the centre kind of, but we seemed dangerous from the fullbacks for a while.
I thought there was loads of space for Calvert-Lewin. It's just we didn't play the right kind of ball. He kept making that run down the side. They played three, but the two fullbacks were high up, so there was loads of room in behind, and we just didn't exploit it.
But I thought
we started off okay.
No, I thought, but actually a lot of that happened after we'd scored. So I think I've jumped ahead a little bit. But the goal itself, 8 minutes, lovely move. Obviously, Ross Barkley.
That ball by Barkley.
Yeah, finding a lot of space in the midfield, and lovely ball. Lukaku actually does really well for it as well, because Lukaku comes into the space that actually opens the space up for Davies to go in behind, and it's a lovely ball. Davies gets behind, and actually, I haven't re-watched it. I actually thought he had more options in the box when he played the ball, but he only had one. So the ball was absolutely fantastic from Tom Davies to find Calvert-Lewin.
He was doing that all game as well.
Yeah, and it was a lovely finish, because you think about it, Calvert-Lewin, I'm sure it's been hanging over his head since the whole game, because he missed the sitter.
He forgot about it.
You know, well, he missed the sitter at 2-2. So to put that to bed that quickly, that must have been a massive relief.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's what you dream about, don't you? You want your first goal. I was talking before the game about him, and I said, well, he just needs a tap in from a yard out just to get him up and running, and it come from about 5 yards out, but it was perfect. It was a great run, great ball by Barkley, you know.
Yeah.
Disguised the pass brilliantly, And that's what we've said about Tom Davies. He's the only midfielder we've got really who runs beyond Lukaku. And doing that, they didn't pick him up at all, because he comes in round the back and he's just kept that alive. He's cut it back. A lot of players hit that across the face of the goal for the keeper. He didn't. He just cut it back, and Calvert-Lewin's done great, stayed alive, and he's got a nice little tap in, and the perfect start, and made by 3 Englishmen.
Yeah.
Which match of the day chose to
and all young as
skate over 3 young players. Yeah.
I think the great thing about Davis is he always does that forward run, but you don't expect him to. You're always looking like, certainly, if you don't know him as well as we do as well, he seems like a holding midfielder, and he always starts like a holding midfielder, and then and because of that, I think he just doesn't get tracked at all.
It was a great ball, I'd say. Me watching it, I thought, when you're watching it in real time, and obviously the penalty box was quite full of their players, so you automatically think, there must be like 3. Put it in, but he only had 1 man to it, and it's a great ball. It's a lovely little finish.
I was going to say we shouldn't all, like, forget Calvert-Lewin's part in this as well, because one of our major problems is when Lukaku drops deep, we've got no one in the box.
Nobody else there.
And he was there, and I've got to say, I had my doubts about Calvert-Lewin when I watched him feature a couple of times as a substitute. I was like, I'm surprised. I don't know what Koeman sees in him, because obviously I know he wasn't in his natural position. He was further out wide, but he wasn't overly strong. He didn't seem rapid. And I was like, what is it? But in this game, his work rate was fantastic. He was defended probably better than he attacked in some parts of the game.
Well, it's quite funny, because well, number one, I mean, the talk is that him coming to the club was all down to David Unsworth, being at Sheffield United and seeing this young player and seeing he had something about him and bringing him in. But it actually reminded me of last week when we were doing the rewatch and we watched the Moyes team, and he had Victor Anatabi on the right. Now I'm not sort of comparing the 2 players, but it's interesting that they're probably both natural centre forwards, but both managers have put them in the similar roles when they were young, to sort of to use their strengths in a different way. Let's just say that maybe their physical strengths or their attitude. And he did all right. But I think he fell into the trap later on of playing a little bit too deep because he had to.
Yeah, I think you've got to give Hull credit for that, because they pushed us back. But I think the thing what impressed me about him was his first touch. First touch was fantastic. He rolled that Ranocchia a couple of times. How that kid stayed on the pitch, I'll never know. How he never got a booking, I'll never know, because he dragged them back twice, which is a straight yellow. Even
I thought both of them should have been yellows, and then he tried to start a fight later on with Davis, didn't he? Which didn't go well for him.
He was just a typical hyped up player, went to Italy, bollocks, and now he's at Hull. But no, we done a really good job for us on that, particularly the first half. He was really effective in the first half, and that's what I was saying a few times, because he was below me. He spun off into the gap, and if we could have found him, he was in every time.
And the other thing I was going to say about Calvert-Lewin, how many times we said on this show about old-fashioned wingers getting tap-ins at the far post on the opposite side. We've said it loads of times, and not enough people do it, but that's his natural instinct as a centre-forward, and the manager will have told him, as soon as the ball gets out wide, get on the other side. That's your job, to narrow it in. And he did it perfectly. He's given us the 1-0, and sort of, I don't think there was any sort of pressure on the game, but you could definitely, like we were saying before, you could definitely sense just a little feeling of, we've got to win this game. Suddenly this game's gone up a little bit of a notch, because the pressures of West Brom winning, but also the idea of that we could go above Man United for 24 hours, but getting the same points as Arsenal, just building that pressure.
It's a mixture of fears as well, because obviously we reminded the Middlesbrough game, we reminded the last time we played Hull, and we're just waiting for it. We're like, how many home games can we actually win in a row? Like,
well, let's be honest, there was another pressure as well, which we'll talk about a little bit later on at the end, but there was another pressure on the game.
Yeah, of course.
But I thought after we scored, I did think Hull started doing well, because they, like you said, they pushed their wing backs really high, and it stopped Seamus Coleman getting forward, and it meant Calvert-Lewin had to start dropping a bit deeper, and because it stopped Seamus Coleman going forward, it meant Ross had to play a little bit more as an orthodox right-sided midfielder, rather than find that space that he has lately. And it didn't mean that they were getting loads of chances, it just clogged us up. And I thought they did a really good job at that. It just squeezed the space and isolated Lukaku. And for a long spell in that first half, and to be fair, for a little bit in the second half, we didn't make many chances. Let's be honest, there weren't that many clear-cut chances.
We had the one straight after the goal where Coleman should have crossed it, but we had 3 men in the box and shot, and the keeper had the save. Other than that, I think we had an Ashley Williams header, which wasn't even a header, just knocked back. But I think the problem with us was the game. I felt anyway, the game was too easy in the first half. They weren't putting us under any. They looked like, when they went behind, to me they looked like they didn't want to be there. They looked like they didn't believe for a second they could get a result. I've seen Everton play like that when I've been away with Everton at grounds where you know you're not going to get anything. Go behind and everyone just looks like, let's just get out of here. That's what they looked like. They didn't put a tackle in. We just had it, and I thought we just fell into that malaise of this is easy, and so everything slows down. And when everything slows down, you're easy to mark. That to me, that's just the next little learning curve for Koeman's team, is that when you've got a team on the road, just hammer them into submission. That 4-0 could have been 4-0 at half time if we'd have stepped it up, and we didn't. We fell into that. This is easy, and it was just pop it off here.
I think as well, when you do that as well, you're so much more likely. It sounds strange because you think surely you're going to make more mistakes when you're pushing up, but I think you start to get too overconfident, and obviously that happened a lot in the first half.
And it nearly cost us because we're playing that far. Because what they wanted to do as well, and you could tell they were rapid on the counter attack, and you can understand why the Axe has been getting so much joy for them, because they were as soon as we had like a corner or anything, they were away, they were out the blocks, and they were pushing up against us, and they knew Jagielka and Ashley Williams are slow, so they were right up against us, and a couple of times they're decent breakaways, and obviously again because we've got every man forward, all it takes is something like a bad back pass or a bad header, and
let's be honest, the conditions were terrible, weren't they? So
and really they should have equalised by that. The lads should have just knocked it straight over the goalie, and it should have been 1-1. Well, it was a warning. It was a warning, wasn't it? It was a warning that, and that's the thing.
Did Liverpool pay actual money for Markovic, by the way?
Actual money.
Did they actually pay money?
£20 million
they must,
their foreign fans had in money.
He's got no work rate.
It was a lucky bag.
But I tell you,
kids got.
We'll talk about a couple of their players in a minute, because I want to mention a couple of their players. But I mean, obviously a big blow for us was Snidling going off. I mean, and the worst is it's one of them where you look at it, he's done it off the ball, it's his calf straight away, and you're thinking he's gone straight down the tunnel, and you just know straight away it's like 6 weeks or something. And
you're there like, we've got the squad depth of Barry, but against Liverpool.
No, I know, Liverpool, Man United, and Leicester, 2 of them, 3 of them. Well, a big week. Never mind thinking about who's going to replace him. It's a big week where the manager will be thinking, I need 2 or 3. I need James McCarthy. But we'll deal when that comes. But just for this particular game, what we lost with him going off was, number one, suddenly you've got Barry on the pitch. You've got Barry Williams and Jagielka, and it's not like last week. It's a completely different game. This is a team where they have got runners in their midfield. They have got a little bit of pace, and Barry coming on a little bit cold. He's not Barry's a good player, but Sniding dictates the pace of a game, I think, and that's where you need that little bit of extra ability on the ball, just to know when to slow it down, step it up, and those things like getting the ball into the channels for Calvert-Lewin. That doesn't happen with Barry as such. So that was that.
I still thought he played well.
No, but I'm saying, but just for that. The rest of that first half, that settling down period, we just started getting caught out.
I'll tell you now, though, he can't play at Anfield.
No, he can't play at Anfield. No, he can't.
No matter how good he is, their midfield is rapid.
No, he can't.
If Gareth Barry plays, we are in trouble.
I will say, not long after the Williams mistake, he did make up for it after Barry thought he was Messi for a second and tried to play it out of his own box.
He got caught again,
But I think, first of all, one of the things I was impressed with Gareth Barry, I don't know whether to be impressed or whether it was just bizarre. He's a 36-year-old fella, and he literally just took his trackie off and walked on. He hadn't even tried it. Not one stretch. Amazing. I'd be like the Tin Man. He just said, get on and run around there. Now he's 36. There wasn't one stretch or anything. He was just trackie off. Straight, he hadn't even tried it.
Maybe that's why he was slow for the first 15 minutes.
He's probably like, hang on, I haven't done any stretching now. But I thought he'd come in and he just sat in, and he knows where to go. And I think at home, you can almost get away with it because you're still the dominant team. But Snidling, he's like, but one thing I did think is that when Snidling went off, the little pocket rockets in the midfield just took over Ghana. He was just absolutely magnificent everywhere. He just kept pinching the ball off them when he didn't know. You know, Huddleston, who's a lovely patty, and he's got not much else, but he can't half pass the ball. Tom Huddleston.
Oh, people rave about Kante for good reason, but Ghana's actually obviously he came second behind Kante on tackles and interceptions last year. This year he's currently top on tackles. Before he went off onto the for the African Cup of Nations, he was top of tackles and interceptions in the top 5 European leagues across the board. He was the best, and by a good 20 tackles as well. Now he's obviously he's still up there on tackles. He's been caught up with the interceptions, but guys, amazing.
I don't think Kante has to tackle as much though now he plays for Chelsea. That's a big bonus. But no, I mean, there's no. I mean, Kante's amazing, but I love Ghana. I love having Ghana. I love if you want to have a player who at the moment someone's compared to, it's nice to have someone who you go, but he's got better stats and all that. That's nice. It's
mad, isn't it? Because he played against us twice last year, and I don't remember.
Yeah.
We beat them 4-0 and 3-1.
One of my closest friends, obviously I'm from the Midlands, and one of my closest friends is a Villa fan, and I said to him when we were linked with him, because I was there I don't really understand it, because we've got small, energetic midfielders. We've got Davies coming through. We had McCarthy. I was like, surely we want a replacement for Barry, someone a bit like Schneiderlin. I was like, why are we after this Ghana guy? And I spoke to him. I was like, what is he like? And he went, he's all right.
Do you know what was dead weird?
He's all right.
Do you know what was dead weird then? The more he started talking about Villa, the more Bromley he went.
I didn't even notice you were a Bromley till that moment.
Well, I'm not technical.
Your voice just starts getting more and more. No, you're right, and it's weird. But I suppose it didn't really matter. See, this is the other thing about he became available, and soon he became available, the club were like, well, we've got to have him, so for 7 million quid. It's like, not even if you need it. Do we need him? No. I'll put him in the garage till something, you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those, isn't it? Do I need a lawnmower? Well, I haven't even got a garden. But it'll come in handy. And you're giving it away, so I'll take it off you.
Buy it and sell it for double. Worst case scenario.
The pace was too slow. But it was one of them. They didn't really make any more chances. Went in half time 1-0. I think we were all pretty happy knowing the way we've been at Goodison. But it was interesting because second half again, they're playing 3 at the back and having such high wing backs. It just stopped us playing for me. And obviously the manager thought I was right, because he changed the system. We went to a 3. I didn't necessarily agree with the sub, but he went to a 3 because before anyone started it was just the fact the Chelsea game suddenly just went, oh my god, it's those 3, isn't it? It's those 3 at the back.
Jagielka was brilliant.
Yeah, he was.
He's
been good since.
They just looked.
But we went to 3, but oddly, Coleman and Baines just never really got going. They didn't get going at all.
It's interesting because it was almost like a chess game between the two managers. Because I think Marco Silva doesn't seem like a man motivator to me. He seems more like a tactician.
Yeah.
And he saw Koeman made that change, and it was less than 10 minutes later he switches to 4 at the back, switches it up, and then and I was there like, it was really fascinating, and I think that's why we didn't end up being able to get forward, because they ended up being doubled up on.
Fair play to him, I mean. I know what you're saying about the fact that the players didn't look, but the manager looks up for it. You know what I mean?
I think that they got. I think the longer it went on at 1-0, they probably started going, well, if we get a set piece, like any game, if you can hang in through a game, you get a chance off a set piece. I mean, you mentioned West Brom before. They've done it to Arsenal at the weekend, didn't they? 2 set pieces again. You're looking, a cross comes in, it's 1-1 all of a sudden, and that was the danger. But I just think for them, where they are, if you were a Hull fan, you'd be frustrated that they didn't have more of a go. It would have played into our hands a bit more.
Zero shots.
Well, I spoke to
that's what I mean.
They didn't. But I spoke to a Hull fan last week, and he predicted that. He predicted that they'd try and be very compact for as much as the games they could, and then maybe try and break out, and maybe even going behind 1-0. He probably thought, let's keep it up. I mean, because let's be honest, how many times have you watched the game and thought the team's gone 1-0 down, would it be Everton on the other side, and you just think, well, keep it tight for the next hour, and let's just see what happens. And I think that was almost what they were doing. They were thinking, let's keep it they're 1-0 up, but let's shut them down for an hour. Maybe get them edgy. Maybe see if there's other factors that are going to, and then see if we can.
The one really good chance they had was Robertson when Seamus Coleman lost the flight.
Completely lost it.
Not like he does that very often. and Robertson hits it into the side then. But Joel had it covered.
Yeah,
but that was really the only time you thought. But it makes you think, doesn't it, that you're going, we need to put this game to, we need to step this game
a bit like the
up
Sunderland game, wasn't it?
I would say though, I'm starting to get more and more confident with knowing that we're going to score in the last 10 minutes. We're just going to. Like, we've got to be top in the league for. Well. We're going to be top in the league for that now.
Most goals in the last 10 minutes.
And what's making it even better is now we seem to be scoring early as well. Seems to be like the last few games we've been scoring the first 15, 20 minutes. So it's like that's not a bad system. Score one at the start, score one at the end, win 2-0. We're done.
We just seem in control of games now, don't we, at Goodison Park? I mean, I know we've had a good run of teams that come to us, but we just seem to be in control, and the manager just never seems to be flustered by anything, and the players don't seem to be flustered, and it helps taking the lead in games as well. And then because then you can't.
The crowd have been good though, and albeit very quiet.
No, they've been quiet.
The difference last year was, when we were quiet, we were also edgy, and so you could hear the groans when it wasn't working. There was negativity. Now, when they're in control of the game, the crowd aren't edgy. So there's only really been the Bournemouth game.
I mean,
and that was
rightfully so.
Rightfully so.
That was a fun game to watch, though.
No, it wasn't. Sorry. Disagree.
It was for the last
fun
10
for the
minutes.
first half and the last 5 minutes.
The only way I would find that game fun to watch was after that. To go back and go,
the first half was fun.
It was the first like 25 minutes. The second half was horrible.
It was horrible. Was horrible. But the major changing point was, I suppose, was the sending off, wasn't it? Because and to me, as soon as I seen, I thought that was a red, and I've watched it since, and I don't know, but I definitely thought at the time it was a red.
The way he jumped in, and he's hit a stand, and his legs straight and Garner standing foot.
I've got to say, I don't think it's a red.
Well, you were watching on TV, so you get you get the.
When I looked at it, and Koeman said the same thing. He went, "It's a very harsh red." He went, "It's not completely implausible, and you can't make tackles like that. Otherwise, you're always running the risk." But considering the game wasn't a violent game, it didn't seem. It seemed like the most unnecessary. It was out of the blue, like you just didn't see it coming.
I just think once you leave the floor like that, I mean, if Garner,
it wasn't on 1 foot as well. That's the thing I thought. Like it was off the floor, but it was 1 foot in, not 2.
But he could have snapped his leg.
Well, yeah, when
you watch it again, where he hits him,
the angle, you're like, Garner's got.
When Garner went down rolling, because he doesn't really do that, I thought, oh no, not both of them. I was so delighted when he got back up, because I thought it was a nasty challenge myself. Like, I really did.
I
mean, I thought that you'd done the second challenge on Barkley from behind was horrendous as well. The referee didn't even give a free kick.
I like Huddleston. I don't like Maguire, but I do like Huddleston. I just like.
Might as well mention, I thought Maguire was absolutely brilliant. I thought he was
absolutely horrendous. I thought he was like.
Oh, you must have been watching a different game, Baz. I thought Maguire was amazing. I would go and buy Maguire right now. I thought he was brilliant.
Actually, I'm on your side here. I don't rate him.
See a thing in him.
He's a tank.
Kid can't pass a ball. How many balls he hit out?
I thought he was brilliant. This is where we're going to have to differ. I thought he was.
I thought if we're going to try and go
he was very comfortable in possession as well.
If we're going to go to the top 4, I guarantee you, mate, none of the other 6 would even look at him.
I think he will. I think he will. I think someone will take a punt on him. I thought he had a really good game.
Hull must have been a few Everton fans, with the Hull City shirts in the crowd, because the amount of passes he put into the family enclosure under no pressure.
I think you've got the wrong fella here. I thought he was great.
It's a big fat thing at the back.
Well, they had two big lads at the back.
They had Ranocchia, who went out from his time that he's garbage. They had Curtis Davis, and they had Richard Dunn.
I thought Maguire had a great game.
Davis is okay.
Davis done alright. I had to take one of them.
Ranocchia was nasty. I was really surprised, because he didn't even get. He ended the game with no booking, did he? At all.
I'd say Maguire in a heartbeat. I really would. I thought he had a great game. I thought he always looked controlled. No, he was authoritative. He had
what?
At the back, he
was garbage.
I thought he had a great game. I really do. This is where we're going to have to differ, because I thought he.
I don't have to agree on everything.
I thought he had a really good game. So there you go. I thought.
Well, they lost 4-0. So
no,
I agree.
I concede 4.
But that's, you can say the same about goalkeepers at times. I thought he had a really good game.
Wasn't it Maguire who got beaten by Valencia as well in the 1-2?
But that doesn't mean he didn't.
And the wrong one.
That doesn't mean he didn't have a good game. Doesn't mean he didn't have a good game. No, nonsense. You tell us. You know.
Yeah, in the comments.
You'll see.
Team
You'll
Ped,
see.
we all know. So I mean, they're sending off, and then they did bring Valencia on, which was great again, because he didn't change it for a couple of minutes, and they had a couple of corners or something, but he went for it, and Valencia came on, little spark. Suddenly you've got two up front with Lukaku, who we've said this a million times. When it's Lukaku and someone else up front, Lukaku just looks a different animal to me. I always think
he come to life, didn't he? Once Valencia came on,
What?
he looked.
He'd already had a couple of chances, hadn't he?
But he had the one he should have passed to Calvert-Lewin. He done brilliantly, and he should have rolled it in.
In his defence, I think he had a point to prove this game, and I feel like he was getting frustrated, not with the players around him as such, just situations, the way he
just
couldn't.
Not
he wanted
to
grab the game by the scruff neck. He wanted to score a couple of goals, and he wanted to, because of obviously the good reception he had, and I think he wanted to repay that. And you could see him, he'd getting frustrated more and more throughout the game. So obviously, whenever he got half a glimpse, he was a bit selfish.
I had no problem. No, but I had no problem with that though. I had no problem with him taking that first shot on, and I know he didn't. He put it over, and I know probably Calvin wasn't the best, but I've got no problem with that selfishness. I've said this before. I think centre forward should be selfish. Basil will agree with me on that one. He might differ with me on that situation, but I think centre forwards have to be selfish.
Always play the right pass. But yeah.
You have his shot, and then he does that again a couple of minutes later, doesn't he?
The other one a couple of minutes later,
and nearly finds the top in with it. Nearly finds, but it's practically
the pass by Baines was just
it's practically the same run, isn't it? And he nearly finds the top corner. But what's good is that was warming him up. That was cranking him up. Valencia comes on. Something that's not spoke about Lukaku is Valencia gives him, and the lovely little dink ball. Valencia's on the run as well, splits their defence because he's on the run. Gay first touch on the chest, and he puts it in the bottom corner, and the game is effectively over.
It was the perfect sub as well, because Davis looked like he was getting. Obviously, Davis was the one who was supposed to be getting beyond Lukaku, and he was starting to tire because he'd had a really busy game. So that was I literally thought the sub myself. So I mean, clearly,
you've done your job, championship manager.
So I mean, it was perfect. It worked really well. But the thing is, I think that's what he's good at, Valencia. He's that impact. Like when he starts, it's not the same.
No.
And you say about having Lukaku having two up front, and I really like it. Like I've always hated the three because he's always so isolated. But recently, he seems to be getting those players closer, and it seems to be working so much better. And obviously, when they make that change late, it's not that he changes the system either. No. He basically put Valencia in almost the same position as Davis, but Valencia's naturally going to be more forward.
It's naturally more instinct, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is the same, but it is the same position sort of. It's just basically saying go and do what comes natural to you, and those things happen in games, isn't it? Because you need Davies in there to do things midfield wise and try and break through, and like you showed for the first goal. But at that point we needed to kill the game off, and obviously with a man advantage, so you can get away with that sort of unruliness of Valencia, that uncoordinated. Because when he got the ball for that goal, I was just like, give it to Seamus Coleman, give the easy pass. And he turned, and I'm thinking, what are you going to do with this? Because it was like, it didn't look like there was nothing on. But he plays a simple ball to Rom, and Rom creates it with that lovely. But you can't just say Rom creates it. It's that knowing that Valencia's knowing that he's going to go.
He made Lukaku's mind up for him.
Yeah, but I like that. I hate just when you see players just always making the easy pass. I was watching the Man City Liverpool game, and Sanya came on. And he literally kept just making the easy pass, but it got to a point where he got predicted. He got caught up twice trying to make an easy pass, and you're just there like,
players.
You're not doing anything for the team right now. They don't
want the responsibility. But see, I thought Davis played deeper for me. Ross is the one that should have been linking up, and he was trying to. We just couldn't get hold of the game, could we? And
but Ross couldn't get, because Ross had to sort of change his position a couple of times in the game, didn't he? Because they had stopped. They'd stopped. They hadn't allowed that space for Seamus Coleman, but I thought a little as the game went on, Seamus was starting to get a little bit further forward, a little bit more.
Well, we almost went to 4. We did go to 4 when they lost Huddleston, because Murray just went and played as a left back, didn't he? And Baines came up and everything shifted round a little bit, and that enabled Valencia to be tight to Lukaku, and that was what the goal mean. 63 seconds after coming on, he scored. Yeah. It's the perfect sub, isn't it? And that's what he is. He's perfect at that. When players are getting tired, he comes on, he's going to work hard, and he'll score goals every now and again, and that's what I mean. scored at Spurs the other week, you know. Match of the day was he scored. He got off the mark against Tottenham the other week, quite clearly forgetting he'd scored against Southampton.
He's got 3 now and 2 assists. It's not bad. I mean,
it's not great.
He's hardly played, but if you look at his minutes, he's not really played. So he's
almost like a manager's dream, because he seems happy enough. You know, when you see not
part of a team that's
when you're not, yeah, but it must be difficult for him, because obviously Calvert-Lewin comes back from injury and comes into the team because no Morales, and he'd probably be expecting that. But I suppose he just, he's come on, done his job, scored the goal, set one up.
I mean, his pass for Lukaku was brilliant.
It was
released Ron.
Very disguised.
Oh, it was a great ball. He just dropped central. Ron made the run, give it, and that was a brilliant finish by Lukaku.
Literally, it's. I think Lukaku may be the first striker that I've seen for a long time where if he's in a decent position, you expect it to be a goal. Even some of the best strikers in the world, I don't expect it consistently, but just watching him, when you expect, and that's sort of, I think that's what takes strikers up another level, is when you start expecting it and they continue to do it, and there isn't that pressure, then that's when, because I think Lukaku's just gone up another level recently, striking wise. He's scoring goals that for a time people were like, he doesn't score those kind of goals. I think he now is, and it is confidence. It's whether when strikers do go on hot streaks and then they'll stop, and he has done this before. It's going to be interesting now to see. He's got a clear run at that top goal scorer now in the Premier League. It'll be interesting whether he takes it with both hands. Yeah, because both Kane and Sanchez are injured.
Yeah, and Aguero's hot and cold. So he's got a clear run. I mean, obviously, he gets the second goal as well. But it was interesting. I mean, obviously, the reception... we sat here last week and we were interested in what the reception was going to be. Both of us never felt like he was going to get dropped. And the reception was good, wasn't it? It was pretty good.
I tweeted there was a roar to it. You know when they say the name.
There was.
And I think he really appreciated that.
But I think he did, and there was no issues with it. No, I mean he could have had one in the first half. The goal was ruled out offside. So and he kept on going. He kept on doing his job. There was times where you notice people go, lazy bastard and all that. You think you wouldn't have said that last week if he hadn't said what he said. Things hadn't come out.
He didn't have a very good game.
No,
Lukaku, and he
didn't you think he had a good game?
No, I thought he was interested.
My problem with him.
It's where we differ again.
Yeah, I'm going to differ from both of you, because I don't think he had a bad game. But what I do think is there were a couple of times where he should have been pressing, should have been chasing down, but he was too busy complaining because he was stressed and not getting his chances and frustrated. He was too busy complaining to other people and not pressing when he should have been.
I just thought he was annoying. I just thought he was isolated. I thought he was just isolated, and that's and I'd take everything else that went out. But when he got his chances, he put them away.
Yeah.
And I thought,
life, didn't he?
But he came to life when Valencia came on, when he had someone next to him.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
For 70 minutes, but he was too easily marked, and he doesn't do that. He's been getting better, and like West Brom the other week. West Brom last week, they marked them really tightly, but he still was going at them.
I was going to say, actually,
Saturday was a bit. It goes in with what I was saying with the team, because I don't think we played particularly well. So I couldn't look at him and go, he's the only one, because he wasn't. Because I thought Garner was head and shoulders. I thought Ross done all right, Gareth Barry and Jags. The rest would be low.
I thought Baines was really good. He made a couple of really good passes in that game, and
there was times when he got caught out though as well. I thought it was going back to Lukaku, I thought his first goal, he celebrated, but it was almost like not a solo celebration, but it was almost like, well, I don't know whether to celebrate like wildly with the fans or anything, and it was to make it 3-0, so it was. But I thought his fourth when we got the fourth and his second, I thought he did sort of he at that point knew that it was all right to go because from his point of view, I mean, when he'd done that, he said what he said last week. He never slagged the fans off. He said, he said a few things, obviously home truths for some people. For other people, just get on with it. But I thought when he got his second, I felt like he could go to the fans and almost say, not like thank you and all this, but just celebrate with them. Celebrate a goal. 4-0, good win at home, and just get on with things. Like, not saying everything's gone back to normal, but just get on with things and see what happens. And obviously Koeman's come out at the end of the game and said, listen, it's nothing's done deal. And I think Jonathan Northcroft done a piece yesterday, taking the manager's words and saying, listen, he's an Everton player. Like Koeman said on Thursday, he's an Everton player, and we're going to try and keep him an Everton player and try and keep selling it to him. And obviously that is helped if the fans are still supporting him as a player. What's like we said last week, what is the point in starting to give a player who you rely on massively shit?
Make him not want to be there even more.
I don't think anyone will. I think
no.
He got a good reception. He was the reception throughout the game. I didn't hear anyone moaning about him throughout the game and not by me, they weren't going, you late. They were saying, no one said anything. And then, like you said before, you give him the chances, you know that he's going to hit the target at least. Yeah. That's what you'd expect. And he took his goal. And that's why I think his goals were better than other games when he's in the game all the time, because I don't think he was in this game a lot. But then when the time come, he was ice cold, bang, and it's in the back of the net. And that, to me, it makes him an even better striker. When you're playing the game, you've got the feel of the ball, and you know when you're isolated or you're just not having one of your better games,
or the centre back marking you having a decent game.
If the centre back marking him was able to take the ball off him, I'd say, you know what, yeah, you did. It's just the fact that the centre back wasn't marking anyone and was still horrendous. I am quite disappointed in you, because he's absolute garbage.
I want to take this opportunity, actually, by the way. Earlier in the season, you guys were complaining a lot about Lukaku's hold-up play, and I completely agreed. But I feel like Koeman's been doing this with a lot of players. I feel like he's focusing on people's weaknesses, and I feel like Lukaku's getting better. His hold-up, don't get me wrong, it wasn't fantastic this weekend with his hold-up play. It's probably a bad week to say it, but he seems to be improving.
He's got better, though.
It's the same with Garner. Garner's main problem was, my God, he liked Rosette, and yet last two shots he's had. Were both really good. One was a goal and one he hit the post.
Nearly.
And I'm just there like, it feels like Koeman's
that's what you've got to do.
But do you know what? I don't think that's just I don't think that's just like a hold-up thing, though, because I don't think you've seen that many opportunities with Lukaku getting his back to goal. I think at times now he's changed that. He's telling him to go round the corner and started to tell people to find him round the corner. So you don't. Lukaku doesn't actually get now that many times. His back up to the centre back with the ball and knocking it back to a centre back. His body shape's different now. He's telling people. He's telling people to hit him on the run. He's telling people now to hit him.
That's what we said. Yeah. That's what he always should have said. That's what, to be fair to West Brom, though, when they had him, that's what they done with him. But everything was over the top.
He did really well with that bit where he took the ball in with his feet, and then he was like surrounded, weren't he? And he managed to fight his way out and just pass simple. Yeah. And that is something 3 months ago I wouldn't have expected him to do.
It's called coaching. I mean, the last manager, I don't know whether he bothered with it that much, but he said he did. But this
bothered with possession.
That's called coaching, and that's something that I think people feel like it stops when you become a professional footballer, but it doesn't. No, you work on stuff every single day.
I think the thing about Lukaku is he wants to get better and better and better, and that he will continue to do the things. He's working closely with Duncan Ferguson, and I've said sometimes he's a problem with this game when he's not in the game, and a lot of the time the team are the problem because we don't get close enough to him. And when we get people by him, you see how good he really is, and we've seen it in the last couple of weeks. You know, the goals last week, the Schneiderlin's goal, the hold-up play, the pass by Gareth Barry in front of him, he held it up. You know, and this week the thing with Valencia, when you get people around Romelu Lukaku, he's even better, and that's what we've got to do. We can't leave him like at Spurs where he was on his own for an hour, and at times at the weekend he was on his own, at times last weekend against West Brom he was on his own. We have to have people around him.
We've been better at getting players near him, and I think you shared a fantastic statistic on Twitter where it was like last 5 games, whatever, so many goals. And it was like 30 goals.
It's 20. Since the last 6 home games, it's 22 goals and 3 conceded since Liverpool beat us.
And you're there, like, I mean, we've been getting people tighter to him, and the evidence is there. 3-0s, 4-0s.
We've done it in different ways, haven't we? I think we like 3 at the back. I mean, everyone knows that. But to be fair, that's more to do with the fact that we don't trust. Well, I certainly don't trust the centre backs we've got. But what he has done really well is recently is it's this idea that he knows Seamus Coleman's going to play as a right winger, so he puts Coleman in that position, puts Barkley in that position, knowing that Ross Barkley doesn't have to play right wing. He'll suddenly drift in. So, and this is where again we go back to Davis. This is why Davis is such an important, because Davis has got the know-how, and also he's disciplined enough to not go straying all over the place. But Ross can, and that's been a really good sort of change in the tactics, not necessarily in the shape, but just in the tactics. Because every time you look at Seamus is playing right wing, so suddenly you go, well, where does Ross go? Well, Ross just comes inside.
But interestingly, I think one of the main reasons we don't play three at the back is because there's really no need at the moment, because Schneiderlin splits the centre backs and he comes back and turns it into a three at the back, and that means you don't have to sacrifice a midfielder for a defender or a forward for a defender, because Schneiderlin does both roles so well.
I think the biggest thing for us is it'd be lovely to go to Anfield and beat them, of course. Well, we're in a really good vein of form at the moment.
Good moment.
Schneiderlin that's going to be a big miss. But even a draw there, just get out, because they're
it's typical.
If we could get a draw at Anfield and a draw at Old Trafford, people will look and go, yeah, but we want to beat them. But if you're looking at it from a realistic,
I'd like 5 points. If we get 5 points that week, I'll be made up.
Oh, but if we could get 2 draws with them, don't forget, they're going nowhere, are they? They're not beating us and putting us to bed. It means that we've played 2 tricky games and we're unbeaten in those 2 games.
It's just typical that we're going into a really hectic month against top sides, and there's a possibility of having no Seamus Coleman, who looks like he might have a bit of an injury, no Schneider,
but McCarthy might
if he's back.
We'll just have to, like you've just said,
get on with it.
It's a case of stepping up, isn't it? If
Besic might come back and blow us all away.
I'm not sure from I think. But no, but I think McCarthy can do it. I just hate to see. I'd be more worried about Gareth Barry at Anfield than I would be about him at Old Trafford. I think he'd be all right against United.
They've got quite a slow midfield.
They're slow. United good, but they're slow.
It's just typical that
dynamic.
It's just typical if we go into the Merseyside derby and we're like the way we've been playing, and we go in maybe a couple light. Yeah. That would and in positions that we don't have replacements for either.
What's wrong with Coleman? I didn't know that.
He's got a knock apparently, and he's doubtful for Ireland, so hopefully it's nothing too bad.
They'll play him as well.
Oh yeah, they'll play him. They'll play him.
Get that freeze spray on your broken foot. It's all right. Just play.
Yeah, there we have it. Big thanks to Sean for coming in. Make sure to look out for his best 11 and his game of your life as well. He's come in and done both of those today. You can too if you pay the money on Patreon. You get on Patreon and we'll sort you out. There are plenty of people. If you have done that as well, get in touch if you want to come in, like Sean. Spend the day. He came in. He's like he's had the tour of the place. It's like Willy Wonka in Chocolate Land and all that. Except he's Uncle Joe. You have to get out of his bed because he's a student. So anyway, look out for them. Thanks for watching. Let us know in the comments as well anything that me and Baz have disagreed on. Maguire, anything. Let us know in the comments.
Maguire or Virgil van Dijk.
Well, I'd rather let's not start it. Don't be throwing those.
Maguire or Michael Keane.
I like Keane.
No further questions.
I do like Keane. I'm just saying.
See you soon.
I'm stockpiling. That's all I'm doing. I'm just stockpiling. Right, thanks for watching Toffee TV. We'll see you later.